Hi there, Duncan here, physiotherapist and owner of Life is Movement. I make these videos for my patients here at my clinic. However, if you're not a patient and you find any of this useful, you're of course welcome to use it as you see fit. Just please make sure you do so safely. So I wanted to make a video to outline the rate of perceived exertion, or RPE scale, we use for strength exercises here at the clinic. Now, this is very different to what rehab exercises should feel like if you're in the earlier stages of your rehab. But once you're past that stage and you're doing more general strength and mobility work, this is the metric we use to gauge how intense each set or each exercise should be feeling. Because of course, in order to get benefit from exercise, we have to push, with a certain amount of intensity. Otherwise, we're just not sending a strong enough message to the body that it needs to adapt and change. But we can push things a little bit too hard and increase risk of injury and push into a place where we can't recover anymore. We get neurological fatigue, things like that. So this is a scale we use to gauge the appropriate intensity of every set in order to get the most benefit with none of the risks. So with the RPE scale, it starts, it's technically 1 to 10, but basically anything below 5 is like a warm-up set. So you're doing your set of bench presses, and you feel like you could have kept on going for almost ad infinitum. It's a nice warm-up set. Once you get to a 6 out of 10 RPE, that basically means okay, we're starting to feel the weight a little bit more. So if we do a set and you're like, hey, 6 out of 10, it's like, okay, it's no longer, it's sort of on the verge between a working set and a warm-up set. When you're at a 7 out of 10, that basically means I definitely could have done 3 more repetitions. So gun to your head, $1 million on the line. If you finish a set and you're like, okay, Duncan, that's a 7. That means, if I told you, okay, you have to do 3 more reps, you definitely could have done 3 more repetitions. 7.5 is, I definitely could have done 2 more repetitions, maybe 3. So we're sort of on the verge here. And then it continues in that pattern. 8 out of 10 means I definitely could have done 2 more repetitions. 8.5 is I could have done 1, maybe 2. 9 out of 10, we're getting pretty intense here. We want, it means you definitely could have done 1 more repetition, gun to your head, $1 million on the line. 9.5 means I maybe could have done 1 more repetition if I really, really had to. And 10 out of 10 means, no, that's it. No more, $1 million on the line. I couldn't have done a single more repetition. Now, so this is a really good way. This is quite hard to gauge at the start when you're not used to exercise, but it's a really useful tool we can utilize to get you used to pushing your sets, your strength exercises, into an appropriate intensity where you get the most benefit with no, or while reducing any potential fatigue, excess fatigue or risks. And generally speaking, I like people working at about a 7 or 8 out of 10 RPE for their sets. The research is quite clear at this point that this is a sufficient intensity to get the most benefit, to get sufficient benefit from the exercises while still keeping well away from unnecessary fatigue and injury risk. Because yeah, fine, if you're working at 9 or 9.5 or 10 out of 10 intensity, you might get slightly additional benefit from the set. However, your risk of injury and your risk of overexerting yourself so much that you can't recover anymore goes through the roof. So 7, 8 out of 10 RPE is about the sweet spot, about the Goldilocks zone of pushing hard enough without going too hard. So every set should feel like you probably have maybe 2, gun to your head, $1 million on the line, you have about 2 repetitions left in the tank. And this, a really good way of gauging this when you're actually in the set is there should be 1 repetition at the end that feels a bit slower than the other. So you're pressing, you're doing your bench press, whatever it is, and then you're going at a certain speed, and then you get to that rep where you're like, oh, that was slower, but unintentionally so. And that's normally the RPE 7 or 8 out of 10 rep. Normally at that point, at the slow rep, I say, stop, shut it down, that's plenty. We rest a few minutes and then we go again. That is the RPE scale of intensity we use here at Life is Movement. I hope you found that useful, and I'll see you at the clinic.